Rick and Morty co-creator Justin Roiland charged with felony domestic violence. That wasn't on my 2023 bingo card. Absolutely outrageous. Now look, he's pleaded not guilty to this. But this is surprising. Domestic battery and false imprisonment. Wow. I mean, this is shocking, if true. But he is pleading not guilty, of course. So, shall we take a look, ladies and gents? Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I sort of fell out of love with Rick and Morty. It's kind of one of those shows that I think became a sort of phenomenon, and then as quickly as that rose, almost faded, from my perspective, at the very least. So I don't particularly give a shit about this individual. If this is obviously someone lying, then boo for them. Not cool. But let's take a look, because this is quite a shocker. He is the co-creator for Rick and Morty. And he also stars in it. Justin Roiland. But he's been charged with felony domestic violence in Orange County, California, as reported by NBC News. The charge is connected to a 2020 incident, and according to a criminal complaint filed in May of 2020 by the Orange County District Attorney in California. So Roiland's obviously pleaded not guilty. Did that in 2020. It says, we look forward to clearing Justin's name and helping him move forward as swiftly as possible. T. Edward Wellborn, one of Roiland's attorneys, wrote in a statement. But obviously that was 2020, we're now 2023, so what's happened? Well, according to the criminal complaint in the case, Roiland is being charged with one felony count of domestic battery with corporal injury and one felony count of false imprisonment by menace, violence, fraud and or deceit. That's a bit fucking full on, don't you think? The complaint states that the incident occurred on or about January 19th, 2020 against an anonymous Jane Doe who was dating Roiland at the time. Like I said, Roiland was arrested and released on a 50 grand bond in August of 2020 and arraigned in October of 2020. He, like I said, did plead and is still pleading not guilty to both charges. And since then, the case has been subject to dozens of court hearings, including pre-trial hearings. So pretty full on. It's not a small thing. There was also a protective order filed in October of 2020, which states that Roiland is not to harass, threaten or surveil the person named in the protective order. Roiland can also not go within 100 feet of the person. Now, the identity of the person named in the protective order is not known to NBC News or the general media. And I'd imagine, that's essentially for a protective element. So, Justin Roiland, who is he? Well, he's best known as the co-creator of Rick and Morty. We all know what that is. Roiland voices Rick and Morty. And, during the time of this accusation, this was around the time that it came out that he essentially did actually just booze it up whilst doing the voices. So I wonder whether there is any element of that involved. Obviously, like I said, he is pleading not guilty, but let's take it on face value and say, yeah, he is. Well, I mean, maybe he's a boozer. Maybe that's the case. Roiland also co-created Hulu's sci-fi animated series, Solar Opposites, in which he voices the main character, Corvo. And the series was renewed for a 5th season in October of 2022. So more recently, Roiland released the video game High on Life, which was developed through his studio Squanch Games and released in late 2022. High on Life is a comedy shooter featuring charismatic talking guns, and found great success, becoming the top-selling game on Steam. People really love his stuff, basically. It's sort of... It's like South Park adjacent. It's not like South Park, but it's similar enough where you can compare the two of them. So it makes sense that it would be popular. It was also the biggest third-party launch in Game Pass history and the biggest single-player game launch on Game Pass ever. So, this is obviously an issue because pretty massive, him being accused of this. Felony battery and imprisonment's pretty shocking. So there was a Thursday hearing and a plea deal is currently available to Roiland, but his attorneys have not discussed the details. So the case will convene again on April 27th with Roiland ordered to attend the hearing, and it's unclear how these charges will affect the future of Roiland's projects. Now, this is the interesting thing. Adult Swim, who is owned by Warner Brothers Discovery. Why do they keep having really shit PR and media attention? Warner Brothers Discovery? Now, if you don't know what I'm referring to, of course I'm talking about Ezra Miller. I mean, Jesus. How can... I mean, I think that, in fairness, this is just Hollywood in general. You know, like it's just populated by reprobates. If this is true. I mean, Ezra Miller is true. We've literally seen him choke slamming a girl. I still can't believe that, for goodness sake. So, the case of Justin Roiland. You know, let's not jump the gun. You know, I've been very careful with my wording throughout this video. And I maintain that. At the end of the day, this is a case of an accusation. He is and continues to plead not guilty. He is adamant on that fact. It would look really bad if he is, of course, found guilty. But at the end of the day, he's not going to not plead not guilty to this. I mean, why on earth would you plead guilty? Unless, of course, there's a plea deal, which currently at the moment, apparently there is a plea deal. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, because that's what happened with Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller pleaded not guilty. A plea deal got put up for him, or he entered into a plea deal, managed to get a few cases dismissed, 2 counts against him, and he's on probation for a year. Could this be a similar situation? I really highly doubt David Zaslav of Discovery, now Warner Brothers Discovery, is going to be all too pleased about this. It's not a good look, and at the end of the day, Warner Brothers fired Johnny Depp just for simple accusations. Now, we know that they let a lot of things go for other individuals. It'll be really interesting to see what happens with this, because of course, you know, you look at Justin Roiland and Johnny Depp, they're 2 different elements. Johnny Depp, you pay big money for the potential for a big singular box office. Justin Roiland, you pay big money for ongoing, continued subscribers and income on a monthly basis. If you're looking at it objectively, Justin Roiland could be quite easily cut and factored into a P&L sheet without too much stress, because there will be certain people that will stay regardless of his work on their networks. Interesting. Let me know what you think, though. This is an interesting discussion. Cheers, guys. Take care.